everyone. Welcome to another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs. I'm your host, as always, Wes, and joining me once again is Mike. Mike, how are you doing tonight?
I'd be doing a little, a little better if the Wild had won last night, but other than that, I'm doing pretty well.
I don't have a horse in this race right now, so I get to just watch hockey and enjoy it once again. But tonight's going to be a little bit different of an episode. We don't have a lot going on as far as NCHC specific stuff. So I figured we would just break down, kind of do a where are they now NHL playoff. Go through the teams and see who has players listed on their current rosters that went to NCHC programs and during the NCHC year. So if there's someone who you know that went to one of these programs, but it wasn't between 2013 and the present when the NCHC started, we're not going to talk about them on here. So, guys like Zach Parisi, he's not going to be listed on here because he went to North Dakota when it was in the WCHA or whatever other conference it was in. So
It's not that we don't care. Well, we really don't care at this point.
yeah, it's not that we don't care, but it's also that
Well,
we don't care.
I would say TJ Oshie better than Parisi because the Islanders are not in it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I did mean TJ Oshie. He was the one that was on my mind. But again, same thing
They both went to North
works.
Dakota.
They went there before it was the NCHC, so we're not going to discuss them. But we will jump in with a guy who is having a fantastic start to his playoffs this year in Jake Getzel. He has 3 points already tonight, 2 goals and an assist, and he is a graduate of the University of Nebraska Omaha. He went there from 2013 to 2016, so right at the beginning of the NCHC era of college hockey.
And I think Gensel is probably going to be the biggest name on this list. Obviously, we care about all the players that have played in the NCHC, but Gensel, by leaps and bounds, has been the best player that has come out of the NCHC and what he's done over his career as soon as he got to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. He's definitely made that step quickest and has plenty of hardware to show just what can happen if you're the right guy in the right situation and you come from one of these top programs.
And some people might say, oh, well, he's playing with Crosby and Malkin and Letang. No, this kid's he's just good. It doesn't matter.
He's very
What,
good.
it doesn't matter what team he's put on. He's just good. He is going to produce.
So yeah, I mean, all 3 of his points came in the second period of that game, which I think is currently tied 3-3, and he's a big reason as to why it is 3-3. Well, it looks like they might have taken away his assist, but either way, I mean, he's responsible for 2 out of the 3 goals, and he's played in some big games since making the jump up to Pittsburgh, and has been a main name on that roster since he got there. So it's definitely kind of like the pinnacle of what can happen coming from an NCHC school.
Since game one, he made an impact game one, and he has not looked back. I think even you just look at Crosby wants to play with him, and that says a lot about a player if one of the best players to ever play the game. I'm not a Crosby fan, but I recognize his talent, and he is one of the best to ever play the game. It says something about you when he wants to play with you. He wants you on his line.
Right. Oh, 100%. In that same game, on the same team, is Danton Heinen, who went to Denver from 2014 to 2016. So, these 2 guys played against each other, and other teammates have been for a while, and are once again find themselves in a playoff game. So congrats to both of them on making that step. Heinen's not really a guy I know too much about because, 1, I don't follow Pittsburgh, and 2, I don't really remember him being a big name in the NCHC at the time. So, but I did go through and try to find as many dudes as I could on active rosters. So congrats to him for making that to that level too.
It's a huge deal for all these guys that we're going to talk about. Just making it to the NHL, but then to be on a playoff roster. That's
and he's looking at 10 minutes of ice time in this game. So definitely a guy who's able to be productive and play it with guys like Malkin and them. So congrats to him once again. On the other side of the ice, I don't know if he's actually playing tonight, but he was still listed on the active roster, is Johnny Brodzinski from St. Cloud State. He played there from 2013 to 2015. And I believe he would be the older brother of Easton Brodzinski, also of St. Cloud State.
Yes, he is the older brother, and he is not playing in the game. I have the box score up right now.
Yeah, I do too.
Not he was not listed, and it also looks like Justin Richards has played for the Rangers, but he is not on the from UMD. But he is not on the roster tonight as well.
Yeah, I like this afternoon. I went through all the rosters, so there might be guys that I did miss, or some that weren't, who may have been on the roster during the regular season but weren't included on the roster tonight. So again, if there are and we miss some, apologies to them. But this was kind of a last minute decision, is what we were going to make the show about today. So here's what we got.
Yeah, and even some of the on the NCHC website, they updated it on April 12th. So as I was looking through it, Carson Kuhlman on the Bruins, but now he is with the Seattle Kraken. They claimed him off waivers. And before we go even further, I just want to point out, Wes, you sent me the picture on Sunday. There was one game in the NHL left that they needed to play, and it was the Kraken versus the Winnipeg Jets. And there were 5 former UMD Bulldogs that were playing in that game, which is absolutely unbelievable to have 5. The oldest is Carson Soucy, and the youngest, I want to say, is Dylan Samberg. I don't think they overlapped, but the rest of them, they had teammates in common, and that's just for any program in general to have 5 players in the NHL at the same time, let alone 5 in one game, says a lot about the conference as a whole.
Yeah, and we're gonna see something kind of similar to that as we get through these matchups, because I do have them listed out by playoff pairing. So we'll go kind of through each series essentially and look at these guys. So next up we have Washington and Florida. The only guy here listed on either roster was Nick Dowd, who went to St. Cloud State in 2013-2014, so a one-year guy, and has been playing at the NHL level.
And he's been a contributor since he got up to the NHL level. You always hear about him, Nick Dowd. I didn't realize he was as young as he is. It seems like he's been around for quite a while.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing too. Is like, even looking at some of these guys, like when I was looking through, I was like, the dude's seriously only that old, or trying to figure out when guys would have played. And like Tom Wilson was a name. I was like, that dude's only 28 years old. I feel like I've heard that name for like 18 years.
It does. I don't think it'll ever get old when
he's not one of the NCHC guys, but it was just a name that I was looking through stuff like that. Dude's only 28 years old.
And then we look at ourselves and, dang, we're old.
I am older than he is. That is true.
We both are.
Let's see what next. Washington or Nashville and Colorado only had one guy here, Logan O'Connor from the Denver University team from 2015 to 2018. He is with the Colorado Avalanche now, so they're picking talent from their own backyard, really, just down the road. I would assume that those two places are not too far apart, and they're aware of who's in that building when Denver's playing. So
they're only about an hour away, and eventually there will be Tyson Jost.
Well, he's not in this series. He is in the Minnesota series. So calm your jets. We'll get there.
Jost is?
Yeah, does he play for Minnesota? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he does.
You dingus! You don't even know who your own team traded for this year.
It's so many things. I'm like, oh yeah.
He's only come in and contributed for the Minnesota Wild on a couple of games, but who's that guy? Nah, he still plays for the Avalanche.
Just ignore me.
Just for that, I will take resumes for a future co-host. You have to have some affiliation to an NCHC school and be willing to be on time when a show's going to happen, because we don't always have a show, but that's not always Mike's fault.
It was mostly on time.
But yes, Logan O'Connor, not a guy I know super lot about. See if they haven't started their game yet, so I doubt I'm going to get much information on him tonight.
And it looks like Colorado also has Kiefer Sherwood from Miami, but he is not playing tonight.
Moving on, Dallas and Calgary. Now, Dallas is a team that I know picked up a lot of players the last couple of seasons, mostly from North Dakota. I believe most of them are still with their AHL affiliate and haven't quite made it up to the NHL level yet. But Adam Scheel from the University of North Dakota from 2018 to 2021, so one of those guys who was just picked up last year, is with the Dallas Stars, and I'm potentially playing tonight. A name that I do recognize from his play in the NCHC and the fact that he hasn't been gone for too long. He would have been signed after the tournament last year, when Denver or North Dakota had that kind of big exodus of guys all at once.
The other one in the Calgary series is Blake Coleman for Calgary. Yep. He went to Miami, and that
I believe he was originally with the Tampa Bay Lightning and won the Stanley Cup with them last year, at least. I don't know if he was there for both of them, but I do know that he has at least one of the cups with them.
And he's a name that I feel like has been around for a long time, but he hasn't. He was, he was drafted. He made his NHL debut in 2017. And he was drafted in the third round by New Jersey in 2011. But just another guy that you think he's been around for a long time, and he's a big contributor to whatever team he's on.
Oh, a very good player. I like Blake Coleman.
I do too.
Boston, I know, has some guys in their minor league affiliates. They do not have anyone on their current roster that I saw from the NCHC. But Carolina has Jacob Slavin, who went to Colorado College from 2013 to 2015. So really it's a lot of guys who were in that first year of the NCHC who are still in the NHL and producing and being contributors, even now that the conference is almost 10 years old.
And Slavin he's been one of their core players for Carolina. I've started paying attention a little bit more to them as soon as we traded Niederreiter to Carolina, and then they're just a fun team to watch and fun when they're interacting with their fans. But Slavin's been there. He's been one of their core players that they've tried to build around, and he's a stud for that team.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like a Gensel. If you're put in the right situation, you can learn and you can become a stud. And it's really fun to watch these guys, especially with what Colorado College has going on right now and kind of what they've been in the NCHC a little bit down. It shows that even if you're a team that's not in the top tier, you're still playing great hockey and you can still become one of the top players in the world.
I think who was it? Was it Jason Zucker also went to Colorado College before it was the NCHC? I know there's another pretty big name that came out of there.
Went to Denver.
That's right. There was another guy who I know for sure went to Colorado College, but I can't remember his name at the moment. But I'm pretty sure it was before that was the NCHC, so he wouldn't be on this list anyway. But moving on, Tampa Bay and Toronto, there was only one guy in this series as well. Joey Anderson from the University of Minnesota Duluth from 2016 to 18. A guy that I'm pretty sure I saw on the ice, but I don't necessarily remember. Guys that I'm going to remember for sure are going to be Western guys, to be honest. But there are some names that I go, oh, yep, I totally remember that name when I see it. So,
well, we had they were completely unrelated, but we had about 5 Andersons, it seemed like, on the team, kind of like the Stalls. Just the Stalls were related. um, but Joey, I think Joey was a forward. I think Joey was a forward and Matt was a defenseman, if I remember correctly.
sounds about right because Joey is still a forward in the NHL.
Oh, then yes, perfect.
Let's see what
I'm looking at the Colorado college players that
he played 2 seasons, played 75 games. His best season being his first season in 2016-2017. He had a total of 37 points, 12 goals, 25 assists. His second season had 27 points, 11 goals, 16 assists. And picked up a few more PIMs. He had 20 PIMs in his second year and 8 in his first year. Did Joey Anderson with the Bulldogs.
well, you got to have a scrappy guy. Jaden Schwartz.
Ah, yes. That's who it was. That's 100% who I was thinking of.
Yeah, NHL 2011 to present. So
would have just missed the NCHC.
Yeah, just by a couple years.
A guy who's actually younger than I thought. I don't know why, but I thought Schwartz was older. That might also had something to do with our buddy making him his target for his Twitter page too. So
yeah, that could be. That'd be probably.
When Civil War Blues was General Schwartz or Captain Schwartz or whatever the hell it was, it made me think that he was a lot older than he was.
I blame Chuck for starting that whole thing with
Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville. I can't remember which defenseman it was, but he had a great beard. I know that much.
Who was it? Oh, it's not worth it. I know it's a guy who's still there. I think
maybe Ellis.
Yeah, I think it was right. I think it was Ellis.
Anyway, moving.
I don't think it was Roman Yossi.
Definitely not.
Next series, St. Louis and Minnesota. Nobody for St. Louis at the NHL level. I know they did, which is kind of surprising because I thought they might have brought up Perunovic coming into the playoffs, but I know they have a big stack of NCHC guys at Springfield.
And Scotty did play this year, but I think I read he had another surgery of some sort. I think he's injured. Otherwise, he probably would be on the roster. My guess is not playing just based off of how this series is going. After one game and the physicality of it, he's just not that big of a kid. I mean, he's probably bigger than the last time I saw him, but he's just not that big of a kid in general. But I think he's out again, injured for the second time in his career and the second time in 2 years.
And then on the Minnesota side, newly acquired this year from the Colorado Avalanche, Tyson Yost from the University of North Dakota from 2016-2017. And that's a kid who I think legitimately when he went from North Dakota to Colorado, jumped into their playoff series that year and made it known that he was here and he was going to be a guy that was going to stick around for the next couple playoff years and be a talented dude on that roster, which is just stacked with talent.
He's a good player, and he plays on our third line. And the reason I jumped to him being in Colorado is I heard about him so much in college, and then in Colorado, I didn't have the greatest year to start per expectations. When he started his career, he was a stud, and then it kind of slowly dropped off. but he's fit in very nicely here, and he is fun to watch. He is number 10, so I actually do know he's on the team. It just sometimes you get players stuck in your head for one team, and you're so used to hearing their names that you completely forget that they're on your own team.
Right. And this one, the last one here, is the biggest collection of NCHC guys in the playoff series. And the LA Kings are leading the way with 5 guys, 3 of which came from the University of North Dakota. Or not the University, I'm sorry, University of Minnesota Duluth, not North Dakota. I can't read my own handwriting.
How
The,
dare
the N and the M looked the same, okay? It's blame my childish handwriting. I Alex Iafallo from UMD from 2013 to 2017. Mikey Anderson from 2017 to 2019, and Troy Stetcher from 2013 to 2016, all from Duluth. From St. Cloud State is Blake Lizotte, I believe is how that's pronounced, because that's how I remember hearing it said. And from Denver, Trevor Moore. So, I mean, a huge list, a little bit of overlap. Mikey Anderson kind of being the one guy who was left out as far as, being a teammate of Iafallo and Stetcher. Kings are a team that seemed to be getting it put back together a little bit. They had some rough years the last few years. I think their big question mark is going to be what they're going to do goalie wise moving forward, because Quick's near the end of his career if he hasn't already picked that date. But they've had success. I guess not as much since their cup runs. 10 years ago now. But they're getting back. They're putting pieces back together and becoming another solid team out there in the Pacific.
And I do think it helps. The one thing that hurts them is you have the few holdovers from the cup runs, and then you have the young guys that are just coming in, and it's those old guys. Kopitar can still play, but Doughty and it's pretty much Doughty and Kopitar, but then they just kind of filled in everywhere. But now they're building pieces back up with Iafallo, with Anderson, with Lizotte, young guys that have won at the lower levels and have the talent to play. They're learning from, especially Iafallo. He's been on a line with Kopitar for the last 2 or 3 years, probably 3 or 4, just because the last 2 years have blended together so badly. But he's had an opportunity to learn. Mikey was the other Anderson that I was thinking of. Matt still or just left UMD, but Mikey was on the team. He's won national championships. Iafallo won national championship, or at least was in the national championship game against Denver. They're building something there with winners and guys that do have talent. And St. Cloud being number 1 seed in the country, Bob Motzko, he played under Bob. Really great coach, building programs back up. They're getting talented people, talented players. And I joked with you earlier today that the Kings were the original Capitals, because the Capitals have a ton.
Oh, so many guys in their minor league organization. A ton of guys from the NCHC go in there. And then Edmonton has one with Josh Archibald, who they picked up in a trade from. It looked like he was from Arizona, originally with Pittsburgh, out of University of Nebraska Omaha. He was there in the inaugural season of the NCHC after playing in the WCHA for 2 seasons. Another guy who has his name etched on the Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and now hoping to potentially do the same with Edmonton, who, for whatever reason, Edmonton is a force in the regular season, and Draisaitl and McDavid, like, they do ridiculous stuff, but for whatever reason, they just can't put it together in the biggest games of the year, being the playoffs. So hopefully they can kind of figure that out and make some noise this year. But those are all the guys that I was able to find having ties to the NCHC who are currently in NHL playoffs and on NHL playoff teams.
And the list is only going to grow. I mean, we've spent the last 25 minutes, half hour just talking about guys, and I mean, even just listing them off uh, that are in the NHL playoffs. And you don't get there by mistake. You know, it,
And there's still tons of guys who are on other active rosters that aren't playing in the playoffs right now. To name a few, Buffalo has at least one, maybe two guys from the NCHC. Ottawa has a couple guys from the NCHC. Um,
Philadelphia has
Philadelphia has
three or
three on
four.
their current active roster. Another couple in the pipeline. Um,
Minnesota still has, or yeah, we have Nick Swaney in ours. He just hasn't made the roster. It's unbelievable the number of players that the NCHC has produced over just in the short time that it's been a conference, and it's only going to grow. And I feel bad for, I honestly feel bad for Hockey East and while Hockey East is kind of the other big name, and then the Big Ten, just because it's the Big Ten, they're not going to compete.
I,
They just are.
I mean, they'll still produce, teams like we saw with Michigan this year that had X amount of NHL ready guys or so many first round picks because of their names like Michigan, Harvard, BC, BU.
Mhm.
Uh, the pedigree is there, but those conferences have to find a way to keep up with what the NCHC is doing. I mean, 6 national titles in the 9 years that we've been a conference. 6 or 7, no, actually, I think it's 7 or 8 straight Final Four appearances. You know, 7 or 8 finals appearances. Um,
The depth just isn't there for the other conferences, and it's going to be harder and harder for them to get that depth because players, at least for myself, if I was a highly recruited hockey player, which is the furthest thing from, um, where am I going to want to go? Where is going to give me the best shot? Well, I want to play against the best competition in the country. If I'm not going to the CHL in Canada for one of those three leagues, I want to go get an education because my parents would want me to, and I just want to have this experience. I could go to, as they say in basketball, the blue bloods, BC, BU, um, Harvard, or I could go to maybe UMD doesn't want me or Denver doesn't want me, but I could go play at Omaha. I could play at CC right now, and I'm just saying as
right.
of right now. Why wouldn't I go play against the best teams in the country?
Well, even some of it's like there. We have a high number of interconference transfers. Um, every year, like, there's a number of guys who either they're grad transfer students or they're just not necessarily fitting in with the team that they originally signed to, but they don't want to leave the NCHC. And there's guys like I just saw it. Where'd he go? Colorado. Was it a Colorado College player who the goalie who went to St. Cloud
Oh yeah.
is one of them. And then Derek Dashke transfers from Miami to Minnesota Duluth. Um, there was another player who I believe went from Miami to Omaha, I believe, maybe. Dominic Bassi, the goalie from Colorado College, he transfers to St. Cloud State. So staying within the conference, playing against the same teams that he would have played for, but with different teammates. We have guys transferring into the conference. Zach Galambos just signed, or from American International, is transferring to Western Michigan.
It says a lot where, and even the players that are transferring into the conference saying, hey, yeah, we were pretty good where we were, but we really want to come play in your conference because we know we're going to get a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean there are definitely a number of guys who are transferring out of the conference too. Um,
Connor
Al-
Kelly, the main one from UMD, he transferred to Providence.
and Alex Azalandis, the goalie for Western Michigan, he just announced his commitment on Twitter to RPI, which I think is like the second player from Western to transfer to RPI. So good luck to both of those guys. Scooter Bricky went to Ohio State. I don't know how to say his name, but I believe it's going to be like Zan. Gurney is transferring to, or he just entered the transfer portal. Jared White is transferring to Alaska Anchorage. So I mean, there's definitely guys who are moving in and out of the system and in and out of the conference. Ben Almquist from Minnesota Duluth also transferring to Alaska Anchorage, and that might be a situation where they're going to get some playing time because believe this is the second year that they're back after having to shut their program down for a minute.
Yeah, and Almquist will get playing time. He wasn't getting a whole ton here, which is some people take the transfer portal as a slight to the program or whatever. The kids are doing what they think is best for them, and that's great. And if they get to play more, perfect. They get to showcase their talents. The whole point of it is of them playing college hockey is to improve their game and progress and make it a career if possible. So I good for those guys. I hope it works out. I really do for them, and they get to move forward past the college game.
You know, I don't necessarily mind the transfer portal one way or the other. The thing I like about it is it gave the players a lot more power over their future and even their current situation. In that they're allowed to enter the transfer portal without necessarily having to talk to anyone or to be like talked into or talked out of, because before you used to have to ask permission from the coach. If the coach said no, you had to go to like the athletic director or the person above the head coach, and you had to work your way up this ladder to make a decision that doesn't necessarily affect them. And if for whatever reason they wanted to, they could just say no, and you're stuck in this situation where it's I either leave school altogether or I have to hope that they'll change their mind and I can go play somewhere else. So like in those regards, I do like it. And it also kind of evens the playing field because how often have we seen a coach at the end of a good season get an offer from a bigger school or a bigger program to make more money, and they're like, well, deuces guys, I know I recruited all of you here and said we were going to be together for 4 years, but I'm out after 2. And,
Yeah,
and the university and everyone else just has to suck it up and go, oh well, I guess we're going to get a new coach. So
yeah, that as a Western fan, probably better than most college hockey fans do because you've gone through that the most recent. Um, I know Motzko leaving St. Cloud to go to the Gophers. That was a thing. 3 or 4 years ago now already. He's just finally starting to bring that up. But with the coaching turnover that you've had at Western over the past 5 years, you know that probably better than anybody in college hockey because you've gone through a couple of head coaches.
we had some. I mean, this is the first head coach change we've had in hockey in 10 years, but we did have a quick turnaround. But right before that, it was a longtime coach was let go. Blashill came in. He's only here for 1 season. He gets an offer from the Red Wings to go be an assistant coach, and why wouldn't you take that? But we get Andy Murray. Andy Murray's here for 10 years. He decides kind of out of the blue that he wants to step away from the program. Pat Ferschweiler steps up, who's a coach that has been here a couple years and was here in years in the past. Is an alum, so he knows the area. But also, if you look at like football, we have one good year. The football team goes undefeated in the regular season. We win a MAC championship. We play in the Cotton Bowl. said coach says he's going to go back to Kalamazoo. No one in Kalamazoo realizes it's just to pack his bags so he can go head coach at Minnesota. So
Yep.
we've seen it in a few. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep. How's that working out for you guys? Have you guys won a championship with him as your coach yet? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, our running back towards ACL. It's
Uh huh.
it's.
Uh huh. Yeah. I'm just saying. Uh,
Hey, we had 4 draft picks, 4 this year. That's a big deal.
so yeah, I mean, it's something that it at least gives the students a little more, uh, like I said, control over their own futures. And as we've said in previous episodes, these guys are making decisions that are impacting their life at such a young age, 16 years old. Sometimes even verbally committing like younger than that. Like I think there was a report a few years ago that like colleges were looking at like 13-year-olds to try and get them to commit to their schools, and it's like, one, that's ridiculous. Like, calm down, okay?
Yeah.
And two, you're making that commitment and you're trying to stick it through, but maybe once you actually show up on campus, you realize it's not the best situation for you, or you don't necessarily agree with the coaching style, or there's coaching turnover and none of the coaches that you committed to are there anymore. So I mean, there's a lot of situations that can play out that makes the transfer portal something that's beneficial to the program, the student, other programs, and the athletic community as a whole, even though a lot of people don't like it.
And it is tough. I know Adam Johnson, for example, of UMD. He was playing. He was with the Ontario Reign. I follow his career, but he was a sophomore in high school. I was a senior. He verbally committed to UMD. I just don't think that. I mean, you can talk to them and look at their careers, but all these sports now, kids are just so young. Uh, there's a sophomore that my dad coached for 1 year in basketball, and he's getting offers from Division I schools for basketball, and he hasn't even completed his sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
I think people need to calm down. I really do, because this is a big life decision for these kids, and why put them in a position. Um, Again, even with Adam, super nice guy. I was playing summer tennis with him after he verbally committed to UMD. We're doing summer tennis. He just wanted to live his life. He just wanted to be a kid. You're not an adult at that point. You don't need to make your decision right then. So I definitely do think these, in all sports, colleges and even pro sports, need to cornerback take about 80% offer.
Right. Um, the other big thing I learned about this weekend, I don't know if I know that you know about it because I told you about it, but there is a 3-on-3 professional ice hockey league starting in June next month. It looks like it's going to run a couple months. To me, it seems like a little bit of a mix of like the Big Three basketball league that started, and like a almost like an X Games type thing. It looks like so there's 6 teams currently. It's called the Three Ice. Check it out on Twitter. Check it out. Go to they have no ties to us. We have no ties to them. They have no idea that we exist. But it was just something I found out. It looks pretty cool. It looks like all 6 teams will play games at every event, and there's events across the country. So they'll play. I think the rule said it was 8-minute halves.
Correct.
All penalties are awarded a penalty shot, so kind of like 3v3 EASHL. There's no stoppage, or it's a running clock. There's no stoppage if the puck goes off the net and bounces back into play up above the glass behind the goalies.
They just play on.
Play on. It sounds like it's going to be high paced, overtime style action. And then there will be a playoff round and a championship round at every event, so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work out or what they're going to do there, but it's something I want to keep an eye on. And there's actually quite a few NCHC guys playing in that league too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. From Western Michigan, Colton Hargrove and Griffin Molino are actually on the same team. They're playing for Larry Murphy's team, and they just missed each other as far as teammates, because Colton Hargrove was here from 2012 to 2015. His first year was in the CCHA, and then he jumped over to the NCHC. And Griffin was here 2015 to 2017. He had a quick stint with Vancouver in the league. I believe he played a couple NHL games. Seamus Deneau or Donahue, I have no idea which one it is. He's a recent NCHC grad. He was at St. Cloud State from 2020 to this season, 2022. His teammate Kevin Fitzgerald is also going to be playing in this new league. I don't remember exactly what teams these guys were for, but he was here in the NCAC from 2017 2022, also at St. Cloud. And then
Fitzgerald, he signed with an ECHL team, I thought.
I mean, it might just be that the ECHL team is done for the year, and he doesn't really necessarily have a prospect of playing in the playoffs either for the AHL or the NHL team. So maybe he's just maybe it was just an amateur tryout, and he wants to just keep playing hockey throughout the summer and get a little bit better, because it looks like this is going to be playing around through the time that the playoffs are going to be wrapping up. So who knows?
Yeah, Fitzgerald, I remember
but
his
yeah,
name.
he definitely did sign somewhere recently, and
yeah, and I remember the name just from these years, these most recent years.
And then Luke Nogard from Nebraska Omaha from 2014 to 2018. So it looks like it's a good mix of younger guys who either just graduated or maybe only had like I said, an amateur tryout with a team, or is going to be a free agent going into the summer, and or guys who couldn't quite hang or stay in the NHL ranks, but want to keep playing hockey and want to try something different. But it's definitely a league that it looks interesting, and worth keeping an eye on.
I'm even just looking at the rosters right now. Ryan Malone is playing on a team there. Longtime NHL player. Brennan Manel, who has spent time up and down with the Wild. He's also playing in this league. Let's see. Well, that guy has a Wild jersey, but I've never heard of him before. I apologize.
Dude, their website's so funny. They
it's a jersey, but it doesn't have the logo.
they edited out all the logos. There's a dude from a Colorado in a Colorado Avalanche jersey that also has it blurred out.
Ryan Malone's is in I think it's in a Tampa jersey. And you're like, I'm pretty sure that's Tampa, but
yeah, definitely, like I said, it's definitely something that I'm gonna check out. I actually have tickets to go to the event near me. I can't wait. I'm honestly really looking forward to going and seeing and checking it out. Anything that means more hockey is being played is awesome. I mean, I'll even watch roller hockey. Roller hockey is so fun to watch too. So,
all right. Well, this is a load of BS. It's hockey, and it's not coming to Minnesota.
Nerd.
What is this?
But if anyone is watching this or finds this along the way and wants to check it out, the website is the number 3ice.com. They have ticket information, team information, how to watch, things like that. Their rules are listed on there. It's definitely something, like I said, that looks interesting. Could be pretty cool. Looks like 9 stops across North America starting in June.
Yeah, it looks like
a couple in Canada,
Vegas, Colorado, Michigan, Pennsylvania, London, Ontario, Pittsburgh, Quebec City, and Nashville.
And then their playoffs and championship will be in August back in Las Vegas. The Orleans Arena. What? I have no idea what that is. But they're gonna have a TV deal, so you can watch it on TV if you find it somewhere. You know, maybe we'll have to do an episode dedicated to this when it comes out, and see how what it looks like. I think it's kind of also gonna be a little bit of like what the All-Star game has been the last couple seasons. Other than it's not a game is not a period apiece. Each game, like I said, it's 16 total minutes, 8 minutes per half, running clock.
And Orleans Arena is the home of the Silver Knights, the Golden Knights affiliate.
The AHL affiliate.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I had to look that up. I think Silver Knights is a...
Oh, they're playing at Colorado College's arena when they're in Denver. At Magnus Arena. Well, see, there's another college tie-in for us. And an NCHC tie-in, because that's an NCHC building now.
There we go. Perfect.
Just making things come full circle.
Full circle.
That's how we do them tie-ins.
We prepared very, very hard for this. That was all in the plan.
Oh, always. It's always in the plan. But I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I don't have anything else. We are still hoping to get some more full schedules, so that we can actually do our episodes based on full schedules. I still think the only one out right now that's a full schedule is Minnesota Duluth. I don't know why everybody else is waiting on them or what they're waiting for exactly.
No, it's because we're not scared, and we know we're the best. So that's my view on it.
But hopefully those will come out at some point. We're still working on other things. I need to reach back out to some people and clarify some stuff there. But things are moving, things are happening. We're trying to get better every episode, which I think we do. If you're watching this on the YouTubes and you like what you see and you feel like doing it, you can hit subscribe, you can hit like, you can hit dislike, you can never watch another episode again. It's completely up to you if you've made it this far. If you have made it this far, I'm sure that you didn't hate what you watched. So
we're proud of you if you've made it this far.
100%.
You can make your own decision. You're a human being.
If you feel so inclined to want to catch us live, we're live on Twitch on Tuesdays for the most part. You can check the Twitter page for updates of when we're going live or if something comes up and we have to postpone a show. They do get posted up there. You can also follow us individually on Twitter. Those are listed on the screen. The Twitter page for the show will be in the description below on the YouTube. Or you can type in Go Horns and Fight Songs at gmail.com if you want to send us an email to know about anything coming up. I do check that regularly for emails that I get for other things that use that email. I think that's it. Enjoy the playoffs. We look forward to having more to talk about as we get closer to the next season and the next season starts. So, adios. Where did I put that thing? Because now I gotta find the button and I haven't left yet because I don't know where my stuff is at. Here we go. All right. Show's over. Bye.